Hi folks, Brian Meek with New Concepts here. We're about to roll out our new Mark IV die saw, and that means I should explain some things. The new one is designed to be a much easier to use system than the old Mark III was, because the new one shares a lot of R&D with the big marquetry saw that we rolled out last year, the Lee Marshall marquetry saw. It's a much more simplified and much easier to afford version of that guide system. So it's got the ball bearing guides, but it isn't 2 feet long and it doesn't have the swiveling blade clamps and all that and all the complicated swing arm stuff that makes the big guy so expensive. What it does have though is the ball bearing guides. That means it moves up and down really easily. It has a slightly scaled down shock cord to balance out the weight, so you're not fighting the saw itself. And it has 2 different incarnations. The original precision die saw, well, there was one of it, and what it was originally intended for was cutting out blanking dies for jewelers for making repeated metal shapes. And it did that really well. The marquetry people have discovered it, and they use it and they like it. So we decided to make it better, because the things that would make the Mark IV die saw optimized for cutting dies means it's not really quite perfect for cutting marquetry work. There's 2 different versions of it now. You can see the big saw in the background. That's the big Lee Marshall edition marquetry saw. The little guy in the front left is the new die saw. That one is optimized for cutting jewelry dies and other jewelry tasks that I'll get into in a minute. The one on the right is the small marquetry saw. And what makes them different is that the marquetry saw version, the guide tower tilts left and right, whereas with the die saw version, the guide tower is locked in place, but the bench pin tilts. The reason for this is that marquetry packets tend to be kind of big, and if you had a tilting bench pin and tilted it over, the packet would whack into the table fairly quickly. That's not such an issue with cutting dies, and for cutting dies you need to be able to roll over at some fairly extreme angles. So the die saw version will roll over 45 degrees and still clear the table, at least with a 2.5–3 inch wide blank. The die saw version also has a protractor underneath the bench pin, as well as a system of speed wheels to set you up with common angles quickly. So if you need 10.5 degrees for a particular die style, you can get that easily without really even thinking about it. The marquetry version on the right has the same highly controllable tower tilt system that the big marquetry saw has. It's just a smaller version, and it uses a much smaller saw without the swivels. It has the same bench pin that has the little holes for allowing you to screw on cover plates so that you can get essentially 0 clearance as you cut through. That's the big difference between them. The marquetry version, the tower tilts. The die saw version, the bench pin tilts. With both of them, you can get them with either a 5 or an 8 inch saw. The guide towers will hold any of our Mark IV saws, but putting a 3 inch saw in here would be kind of silly. The more I've thought about it and the more I've played with them, I honestly would recommend getting the 8 inch saw. That's the more flexible of the 2 sizes. And with the shock cord springs on there, it soaks up all the way to the saw, and the guide keeps the saw from acting like it's out of balance. So it negates all the drawbacks that you normally see with a large saw frame. So in that sense, go with the bigger of the 2 of them. We sell them in several different versions. You can get them with either a 5 or an 8 inch saw. As I said, I'd recommend the 8. You can also get them with or without the bench clamps. The way they work is they use our dovetail system to come on and off the bench quickly, which means you don't have to leave them here sucking up room on your bench. But it does mean you need 2 of these little dovetail guys somewhere, somehow. You can either get the kit with 2 of these dovetail clamps, and the one they come with is this magnet one. The anvil ones are just the ones I have around the house, and I'm using them for pictures. But the thing goes on just exactly that fast. You can also use them when you're not using them for your saw for other things, like bench pins or bench mates or any other kind of dovetail system tooling that you've got. So it's not as though these are not useful to you in other ways. They do add significantly to the price, but the other alternative is just to buy, a set of these little dovetails. You need 2 of them, and there's another version of the kit that just comes with the dovetails. And those you then screw onto your bench wherever you need them to be, but then they can't go, you can't take them to workshops or whatever. On the other hand, it is a much more affordable way to do it. Both options are open to you. I leave it to you to discover which is the more useful to you. And that's pretty much it. I'll show you the details of the new die saw here. It's got a spring counterweight system. So the saw itself, the shock cord is pulling the thing up so that you're not fighting it, which means it actually works really easily. And you can, if you want to, dismount the saw and just use it as a normal saw, because all it is a normal Mk4 8-inch with swivels. Or if you get a 5, you can use it as a 5-inch saw with swivels. And that's most of what you need to know about what the difference is between them. It's that on the die saw, this part tilts, and on the marquetry saw, this part tilts. And that's it. As always, if you have any questions, you can feel free to contact us through the website, www.newconcepts.com. Thank you. Bye.